Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and welcome to a professional match of top-level StarCraft 2. Joined right here by the Polar Bear on the main command center. We're looking inside of the main base of Clem, considered to be the #1 Terran player on the planet. His opponent all the way in the opposite corner, this time around not apparently representing Zest on the main Nexus. I guess this is played on a North American server, and he just hasn't bothered enabling Zest's face. We're looking inside of the main base of Hero, who of course is the #1 Protoss. These two played what is supposed to be a spectacular game of StarCraft just a few days ago as of me casting it, and that's this game right here on the Old Republic. I don't really know exactly what to expect, but I'm excited for it because, look at this. This is a near half-hour long game. Okay, now you're supposed to forget about that again. I don't know what to expect, but that's all I know. And generally speaking, half-hour long games of StarCraft between top-level players are spicy, especially for Terran versus Protoss. We see long games quite frequently for the Zerg matchups, like in Zerg versus Terran, Zerg versus Protoss, half-hour long games. I mean, they're rare, but they're not as rare as in TVP. So I'm excited to find out. Hero, of course, very well known for his very strange build orders. Let's just say that the man, especially when it comes to things like walls, really likes doing his own thing. Now already, actually, in Protoss versus Terran, you don't normally wall off like this. I won't be mulling over it just yet, unlike that SOS game on this same map just a few days back. That absolutely broke my heart. The worst wall I've ever seen at this level of StarCraft 2. But usually in Protoss versus Terran, you do not actually wall the low ground. Instead, you wall the high ground or your main base's mineral line. This is going to be okay, though, especially since Hero decides to go for a fast Zealot, another unit that is usually skipped and one that Clem will see now. That's a big deal. That's going to likely leave this Reaper at the very least in a defensive posture, assuming Clem actually looked at the minimap, which we really should be assuming at this point, although sometimes we have players like... Yeah, no, he sees it. He's like a Pokemon in the tall grass. Sometimes we have players alt-tabbing out at this stage in the game to, like, change music or whatever. Not really the case, though. Yeah, no, you're visible, dude. What is going on right now? What little minigame are we going for? Is this the Hero tries to donate 100 minerals minigame, or is he trying to force the Adept to get the kill on the Reaper? Very strange little exchange here right from the start. It almost worked, though. He almost ended up getting the Reaper right there. And of course, he did already save the Zealot. Cheeky move there from Hero. The best thing Clem could have done was just do nothing. Bunker coming up, though. Oh, Reaper. Oh, Marine. Get him get him inside of the safe. Oh, two. We gotta micro these units. And you know what? This is a bit of a disaster right here. Ultimately, the Adept ends up falling, and I guess the command center is done. Now the units are gonna get inside of the bunker. Crisis averted, but that did look mighty messy, or mighty messy here to start things off. Okay, now Hero making that extra Zealot, it does delay a bunch of stuff on his side of the map as well. Some cheeky mind games though going on immediately. He's now also following this up with additional Adepts, which is a bit funky, whilst researching Blink, which he is building right, well, in the middle of his wall. It's one of those research locations that you, generally speaking, try to avoid. Clem again with a little bit of miscontrol on one of his Marines. Not the end of the world, but I think those two losses, I think that could have been prevented. Or at the very least delayed for a little bit longer. So I think that means that Hero's delay on the Blink research is going to be okay in the end. He fires up a third Nexus to celebrate the death of that extra Adept, as he builds this one right now off of literally just this one unit. He is warping in some reinforcements too, energy recharge onto the Sentry. But yet again, Hero is doing Hero things, where he knows the rules of the game, he knows the normal build order, he executes them all the time, but this is the Hero we all know and love. He knows the rules and then he throws them out of the window. He doesn't care. Maybe the window's open, maybe the window's closed. Maybe we're many floors up, but Hero doesn't care about your normal build, and he does not care really about the risks that are involved with all of this, because he now got the full scout of the Terran's main base anyways. Alright, so are we gonna go? We're not gonna go for Banshees. Instead, we're gonna go for a Raven. I guess he has already been scouted, so yeah, the odds of Hero being prepared for it are quite high. Widowmine drop, though, is going to be attempted, but Hero saw that coming in from a mile away as well. And Clem, I mean, he's just not really finding any angles. Looks like this, a 1. Oh, he's trying to body block it. Looks like the Hellion is going to fall, though, when the shade completes. Trying to hide inside of the tall grass yet again. Medevac tried to come and save it, but all of this is going a little bit, yeah, a little bit better for Hero across the board. Still, these, well, small advantages that he has built up for himself are mostly negligible. But for the time being, he's going to be able to pump out a lot of workers. And there's really not a whole lot here that Clem can do about it. We are on just 3 gateways here in total. Blink is obviously not by any means super fast, but he's still gonna finish it up at a reasonable time. And he might be able to start roaming the map right now with a bunch of Stalkers. Immediately follows it up as well with Charge. So far, not a single probe has died. And Clem has been trying his absolute best to kill as many of those bad boys as possible. Considering Hero has been playing a very greedy triple base opener, honestly, Clem needs to deal some sort of damage. And again, okay, we get 1. Again, this is, well, 2 probes in total, apparently. But again, this is not ideal. Widowmine tried to wait in the middle of the map and apparently did get a confirmed kill. Must have been one of those adepts that was shading about. It did, however, not get repaired up in time for the medevac drop to continue. And Hero goes for a 4th Nexus. Sure. Sure, just build them all. I love it when Hero gets in this mood, man. Like, this is technically in Clem's mind. This base over here is illegal. This base over here, super illegal. Like, that's not allowed. Quote unquote allowed, of course. Anything other than hacks is technically okay. Other than maybe like match fixing or something terrible like that. But as long as there's no cheating going, I mean, this is well within the parameters of the game, but it feels illegal. Clem knows that there's many build orders out there that would just blind counter this, but that's exactly the problem that Clem is running into. He likes playing the very quote-unquote normal style with Terran. He likes being quite predictable, and now we've got a Protoss player here completely demolishing it. Widowmine drop, though, is going in, and this time around the response is pretty slow. Ooh, ultimately, the majority of the damage has been negated. Blink Stalkers over here also do get past those Widow Mines, and yet again, Clem gets cleaned up out on the map. The mines are still available, but both of them are now visible, and that's going to be 2 Stalkers cleaning up 2 Widow Mines. Medevac is making the flight of shame all the way back home, and in the meantime, Hero is planting down a proxy gateway. Raven goes in. Maybe it's going to finally be able to get some additional kills in, but there's a shield battery here regenerating all of the HP, so none of this really achieves that much. Whilst Hero is building up that 4th Nexus, though, he's also going to go for a push, and I wonder if this is just a little bit too much of a good thing. The Marauders, though, I mean, they are very low in HP. Luckily here for Clem, he did not yet salvage the bunker. Normally, when you're playing eco, you don't then also get to be aggressive at the same time. Like, usually, you have to pick your poison, right? If you're gonna play, like, big economy, usually that means you don't have a lot of army to be aggressive with, and vice versa. Hero has a 4th base fully saturated, and he's just gonna keep this going. What a monster. Aggressive blinks forward yet again. Hero knows that if he keeps this pressure up, there's a good chance that Clem is gonna run out of energy on those medevacs. Literally everything here for Terran is expensive. Blink is just so powerful. A little bit of all army hotkeying, it looks like, but Stalkers ultimately do get hit by those concussive shells. Reinforcing Protoss units, though, are already showing up. Okay, Hero needs to be careful that he doesn't overextend, but you know what? Overextending is apparently not something he is worried about. Nice little bit of micro right there as well from Clem, though. Trying his absolute best, to also hit some of his own units. 6 SCVs end up going down, but quite a few Stalkers have now already died. You know what? We just keep it going. We just keep sending it. We go for a 5th Nexus, double upgrades on the back of this too. And we are just, I mean, trying to basically Zerk as a Protoss, right? Like, he is trying to overwhelm this with just sheer numbers. He's treating his Zealots like they're Zerklings. They're just very expensive Zerklings, I suppose. Clem now realizes, wait a second, where are you getting all of those units from? I know you don't have a robo facility, so how in the world are you getting them to my side of the map so rapidly? Yeah, and Clem is starting to now actually gather numbers that are very beneficial for him. Marines, Marauders, Medevacs, Mines, all of them benefit from one another. He has slowed down his own upgrades, though, in order to pull this sort of thing off. So he's got 1-1 done, but he never fired up 2-2. He needs to keep this base up and running. If Hero can force the liftoff on the third base of the Terran, that would be massive while being on 5 bases himself. Gets a bunch of SCV kills yet again. In the meantime, we have Hero on 82 probes. What an absolute monster. Only Clem really can defend against this sort of thing, though. Well, maybe someone like Maru. Maybe Bjorn could pull it off. Maybe Cure. But this is a very narrow defense here. But ultimately, it looks to me like the Frenchman is stabilizing. But look, he's stabilizing on 3-base economy, a worse set of upgrades, and he has no clue what's going on out on the map. Like, he doesn't even know about the base that is already up and running for like a minute or two. I think it is about time for Clem to test the waters on the other side of the map. It's so tempting, though, here as the Terran to try and sit back and wait for 2-2 to be done. But considering the timing at which he started it, it just takes forever. Still, though, Clem, of course, a very aggressive Terran most of the time. But look, he decides to make the walk of shame, all the way back to his third base as well. Okay. What does Hero do in the meantime? Double Robo. I would imagine we're going to continue double upgrading as well as soon as he realizes that 3-3 can indeed be started up. Nice little bit of control here, though. Ooh, the command center here just creating such a annoying little bit of surface area for the Protoss. Clem getting a ridiculous amount of value here out of the army that he does have. And honestly, Hero needs to be super careful. I know he's not worried about overextending, but he should be. We get some good pickup control here with the War Prism. But Clem is going to be able to get a vastly better army going in a minute or two. We have another base started, man. There's no way. Clem is gonna see this now, which also spoils the surprise for this one. Why would there be... Yeah, exactly. Why would there be a Nexus out here if that one isn't already taken? No council. That's 400 minerals down the drain. Now, what we do have, though, is triple Robo production. With the amount of Marauders that are out, Hero decides to now build up a whole lot of Immortals. Robo Bay added into the mix as well, but now with the third base solidly up and running for Clem, even a 4th command center has been secured. He's now making the transition towards Ghosts, and he is getting to the 2-2 upgrades. This was a big advantage for Hero a while ago, but right now, as 2-2 is finishing, we have +3 attack finally starting up for the Protoss player. So that advantage here for Protoss has now disappeared. Clem, as a matter of fact, is finding himself with about a 15 supply advantage. He doesn't really know exactly what's going on the other side of the map, but I think he's not too worried about the current state of things. He's gonna see indeed that there is no Nexus yet built over at the 12 o'clock position, so that means he's playing 4 base versus 5 base, which is fine. Yeah, you always sort of expect as a Terran player that the Protoss is 1 base up on you. So the fact that like previously Hero was like 2, maybe even 3 bases up, and now it's, well, just a single one with an additional one added in the mix, I don't think this is really that bad for Clem, who's gonna start up the transition towards the Liberators too. So we're going to go into a Liberator Ghost army here in the end. It's expensive though. 5th command center also building. Speaking of building things, we have another Nexus hiding in the far bottom right. So many Zealots available at this point in time, and we are up to 40 Zealots. I don't think that's good enough. We have some of them trying to slip around the site. Clemdo sniffs it out perfectly. The sensor tower there really doing its job, giving him the heads up that some army is trying to sneak past. I wouldn't mind maybe having like an extra wall off over here with some supply depots up on that high ground. But Hero, he's trying to find ways to slip in. It's just not really getting the job done. Excellent thermal lens coming up. +3/+3 is researching, of course. We have mass chrono boost being used everywhere. But Clem is starting to now stabilize in a late game with a proper late game army, right? Like, normally he enjoys being the aggressor. He was planning on being the aggressor. He really was out there on the map early on. But I guess Hero, out-aggressived him. And is that a way to say that? I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say, though. It's it's one of those things where maybe Clem didn't want to be the defensive player, but he has been forced into that role, and he's playing it brilliantly. Most StarCraft pros out there are only really comfortable playing one style, be it defensively, be it aggressively. Clem is perfectly capable of fulfilling whatever role is required. Big EMPs, really good EMPs. Woo, so many of those Zealots are now soft. Yep, you gotta be able to just destroy this with Marine Marauder. Backing up to the safety of the planetary is big. Couple of Colossi are out, but they're not really achieving much, and that's another phenomenal fight. But look at the mini-map in the meantime. Hero is taking whatever base he likes. Not that he has the probes for it, but he likes making many expansions, apparently. New command center over here at the bottom. Yep, we're gonna have to lift that one off. With this many Stalkers, though, with +3 attack, they're gonna be able to take care of it pretty easily. In the meantime, though, the Stalkers are firing away at the command center, and now some of these other units, it means that the Colossi are being left exposed against those Vikings, and yet again, Clem takes a really good engagement. So many reinforcing troops, though. The Colossi are mostly left by themselves. Some of the Zealots right there do not quite get warped in time. So many losses yet again, man. An absolute bloodbath. How many games of TVP have I cast recently where we just see the pros tiptoeing around each other? They're trying their absolute best to just keep their units alive. Hero and Clem, they're just throwing stuff. And, well, so far, it is certainly Clem who is getting the superior trait. Hero apparently does not care for the lives of his zealots. Now, he does have the better eco by about 20 workers. I mean, considering the amount of mules that Clem can throw out there, I don't even know if it's that big of a deal. Clem's cost efficiency is making up for a lot of it. Hero, though, trying to basically create like a contain on his opponent's economy, allowing him 4 bases of mining, but no more past that point. That does mean, though, that Hero needs to deny this base. Planetary Fortress is, however, nearly finished on that location. Another Colossus will fall. The Medevacs have got that Caduceus reactor research done, which is super nice in this spot. The fact, actually, that he decided to go for the Fusion Core, not actually for the Liberator transition like I suspected earlier, but just to get the energy regen for the Medevacs. Look at them. They're all purple, man. They're actually really healthy. They're going to be able to keep this bio army alive, and it's allowing Clem so much staying power in games like this. Zealot fly by him again, not really achieving too much. Okay, we get a single kill over here. But so far, Clem has been, deflecting effectively every single blow. Still, we're up to 14 gateways in total, and Hero is using every charge available. Getting more and more zealots out there. He's preparing to once more send in the skeletons. He's listening to the Foo Fighters right now, I'm pretty sure. Is that the Foo Fighters? Send in the skeletons. See us, our bones. I think that's the Pretender, yes. Pretender by the Foo Fighters. I got it right. Good job, brain. You can't see it, but I'm petting my own head right now. Anyways, we've got... This is becoming pathetic. We have a double-pronged push right now, though, for the Protoss. Aggressive blink forward here. We have a bunch of those disruptors. Ooh, hurting the Protoss army as well. Finally, we do get a nice connection. The Zealots, in the meantime, though, got cleaned up in the natural and the main base of Terran. Landed Vikings trying their absolute best. Okay. I mean, I'm still liking this position for Clem better than I like the position for Hero, despite the fact that Hero has been an absolute bully in this game. Usually bullying, look, you may not like to hear this, but it works in StarCraft. If you just throw stuff at the opponent, you try to force them out of the game, 9 times out of 10 it seems to be efficient. Clem, though, making it incredibly difficult. The micro here of this Frenchman is insane. Again, though, he needs to be careful. Those Novas need to be dodged. Now the Vikings are actually in some trouble. The Zealots actually connect with it. Planetary Fortress joins in the fray. Another Nova does actually get a good hit in, but the concussive shells right there. Oh, Clem wanted to get multiple disruptors, and he's got to get them all done. There's only one more remaining. New Zealots warp in. They're going to charge at this. We need the micro to our, well, safety of the Planetary yet again. Disruptor trying to go in. Ooh, he gets a nice hit on some of the SCVs here. Keep in mind that Hero already has superior worker numbers, right? So 56 versus 92 is actually very significant. Hero loses another battle, but I wonder with this eco situation, if in the long run he is gonna win the war. Because Clem doesn't really have an army to capitalize on this very well. Yep, a nice connection yet again. This is such a greedy base. It is basically, taunting Clem to move out there, but Clem is not really able to clean it all up. He needs a moment to get his units back up together to, like, regenerate some energy, to get some repairs done. But Hero is just not really giving him any time to breathe, and yet again, we have another warp in, a gigantic one over on the left side. This may very well be the one that Hero is aiming for. He wants to overwhelm all of this, right? And then maybe simultaneously keep that main army at bay. Clem, though, decided to back up. I wonder if this should trigger a movement down to the bottom, especially now with those robo facilities finishing up their new production run. Another set of units over here get warped in. Hero maxes out in a matter of seconds. He still has some zealots available again over on the left side of the map. Looks like the majority of the bio army has been cycled again to the 6 o'clock position, but that's now opening up the door for the zealots to get some serious work done. And this multitasking here is where things tend to go terribly wrong for Terrans. It's just so freaking hard to actually stutter step multiple areas at once. Zealots are expensive, but not nearly as expensive as those ghosts are. And, well, Protoss can make many of them. He's got, again, enough resources here to warp in like another, I want to say 15 or so Stalkers. He's going to be able to continue producing out of his robo facilities too. Colossi targeted onto the Marines specifically, but the planetary fortress itself is really keeping all of this steady. Now there's a secondary hit squad, and you know what? Is Hero actually cornered here? Did he just accidentally sandwich himself between the reinforcing units and that main army here of the Terran player? All of the expensive robo units are gone. Now the Stalkers are going to be next. That looked like some stellar army movement from the Protoss initially, but then ultimately, I think he was the one getting distracted by his own run-bys, whereas Clem was trying his absolute best to just clean it all up. Okay, now the Terran units need to be cycled back into the main base. Those Zealots don't really have any places to go. Reinforcing Protoss units warped in over at this pylon yet again. New gateway troops are indeed needed. He's got himself that disruptor production kicking in once more, but look at the supply count now. Suddenly, this army size advantage that Hero had been holding rather for a little while has been nullified. Clem's army here is significantly better. Starts up another command center to celebrate. Man, the pacing here for Terran is so freaking slow in that regard. He wants to counter, but he doesn't feel like he's got the units for it. But I think he has a real shot right now. Nice dodging, though, of those balls yet again. I wouldn't mind having a Liberator sent around the map to maybe try and harass some of those outer bases. I feel like Hero's multitasking here is not stressed nearly as much as Clem's. There we go, the advanced ballistics upgrade. That is going to make harassment like that way easier. Zealots, though, together with some Stalkers, are trying to get their run-by done again. Zealots are going to get cleaned up by the Terran's reinforcements eventually. And this main army of the Protoss is being held at bay. Okay. Brilliant stuff. Hero not really finding a good opportunity anymore. Hero is trying his absolute best to get a proper engagement in. But Clem seems to be all over quite literally everything. These run-bys towards the main base and the natural are becoming expensive. Clem yet again is in position. Can we see some repairs on the planetary? Does he even need it? He decides to stim in and go after as many of those robo units as possible. Well, the Colossus does end up going down. Now he has to lend the Vikings. Vikings do take a very big Nova to the face, but the base lives. Reinforcing Terran units needed yet again to try and clean all of this up. I would love a couple of bunkers over here, or like any form of a wall off. Maybe a planetary fortress on the high ground, man, just to slow this down in whatever way possible. SCVs are trying to mine the far bottom right-hand corner, but Hero has been having this mineral line for ages. Yeah, these mineral fields are actually kind of, I mean, they're like halfway done. I don't know if Clem has had a misread in that regard. It doesn't really matter, though. He's been so busy that there's not really that much he could have done about it anyways. Okay. He is going to try and secure it. It does mean that he's leaving this base over here exposed. He has to split up his troops. And is this the right call right here for Clem? Clem is leaving some of his army to the bottom right. He's also splitting it up right now to go after this main force of the Protoss. Hero's got 92 probes, so he can very quickly remax. Clem does not really have that luxury, especially since he yet again loses 7 probes. Picking off whatever Liberator he can find, though, on his way out. The Disruptor will go down, but as the dust settles over here in the bottom right, it is Clem now who gets to mine some of these mineral fields. And look, some of them may smell of Protoss. They will have a very tasty, very cheesy, it depends on what you like, I suppose, but they have a very cheesy aftertaste. I mean, it's not good, but at the very least, the minerals are going to be good enough to be producing Marines with. Now we're going to go after some of the probes, apparently, from the low ground. Landed Vikings trying their absolute best. This is a critical base, though, for Clem to acquire, because The base in the middle, his fourth is running out. His third is emptying up. The natural is fully dry, other than like 280 minerals. The main base is empty, so he needs this base. And exactly when I say those words, it's Hero who blinks in, snipes the command center, because he knows how critical that base is. Are we gonna... Yeah, we're gonna move another orbital instead. He's gonna go and move that orbital command that was previously mining the third base. He's gonna move it to go in this direction instead. Liberator, though, gets sniped. Terran army trying to see if it can group up together on the high ground. A couple of the units once more get loaded up. Nice blink forward there by Hero. Goes after one of the medevacs. Snipes it in just a matter of seconds. Clem wants to go around the side. Takes a bit of a Nova to the face, but I think this Nexus is indeed going to get destroyed. Clem wants more, though. He doesn't just want the Nexus, he wants the army as well. A lot of robo units are once more spawning. 15 zealots get warped in as well. Clem, he wants to have everything, and is this a little bit too much? Backing up yet again, though, now using just the body of that Nexus to create a funnel for these zealots to not really be able to engage, and I guess that's a little advantage right there that I did not consider when it comes to keeping that Nexus alive. Only this base over here has not been mined yet. Clem, though, he doesn't really know about all of the mining going on in the far upper left, and it's giving Hero so much production. Hero yet again wants to charge in. He now knows that many of these units are indeed softened up. The medevacs need a moment to heal all of it. Orbital Commando has made its way over here. Some mule mining has begun, but I'm a little bit afraid here that Clem is fizzling out. This is the most aggressive game that I have ever seen Hero play. He has effectively never let his foot off the gas. And while Clem has done a really good job defending, and while the cost efficiency of Terran has been absolutely through the roof, I don't know if he can actually just sustain all of this. Clem's mining right now is not good enough to be able to compete with that of the Protoss. As a matter of fact, Hero now finally building up that final mineral line over here too. Clem needs money. He doesn't have any of it. Hero knows that he can't really overextend and throw away these units. If you look at the army values, for example, it's a very expensive Protoss army now. Aggressive blink forward again. The fact that there's no planetary here is absolutely massive. Novas are trying to break through. It does soften up some of the Marauders. Vikings get some decent hits in as well, but those Purification Novas are nothing to scoff at. Now the SCVs are dying too, and that means that Terran is on his last legs. Does he have enough army left over to counterattack with? The Vikings land once again, but reinforcing zealots are already showing up. Hero is absolutely relentless this game. Some beautiful StarCraft. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm afraid to open up the units lost tab. I've been trying to for the last couple of minutes, but these guys will just not stop skirmishing. It is Hero who obtains the victory, but can we go ahead and have a little peek? Man, he lost like 20,000 resources more than the Terran did, but it's good enough. We see Protoss players attempt this all the time, right? How many games have I covered where we see Terran just taking these traits and traits and traits, but ultimately they stabilize, they create that like Ghost Liberator army, and then at some point Protoss just seems to not stay up with all of the unit production of Terran, but Hero effectively did like a 5-base contain on a Terran, right? And he contained it not by like digging a moat or cutting off the supply lines or whatever, but by basically throwing troops at the walls, right? Clem was entrenched in his setup, and Hero was like, yo, just go. Just send in the skeletons. Just send them in. I don't care. We have money coming in, and we're going to replenish any of the losses. Insane game of StarCraft. GG. It's Hero who wins.